Hello, Grumpy Old Fart here. I have a friend who keeps asking me different questions about my UFO stories. Well, why hasn't the military, reported on them? Well, actually, they have. I did a video a while back on Vietnam era UFO reports and other incidents. And in this one, we're going to do the Foo Fighters of World War II. During World War II, late in World War II, I want to say it was 43 and later, the Allied pilots were reporting strange lights following them and buzzing them and paralleling them, things like that. And our government, the Allied governments, I should say, thought them to be possible enemy advanced aircraft. So they watched them closely because it was a wartime footing. It was World War II. Okay, lots of air combat going on over Europe and over the Pacific. So when there we go. So when pilots, air combat pilots involved in war are reporting things that are unusual, people take note of that. Okay, because if the enemy's developed a new kind of a fighter or a new type of a bomber or some kind of an aircraft, we have to be able to deal with that. So they took it seriously. All right. Some of these were photographed. There's lots of photographs, especially with the 415th Night Fighter Squadron. They reported them extensively. Lots of photographs of these things. Glowing orbs following and buzzing the aircraft. And it was harrowing for them because how do you fight that? I mean, it doesn't have an engine. You can't see a pilot. You can't see any definable airfoils. I mean, and these things didn't behave like a normal aircraft. 90-degree turns, very fast, far exceeding ours. I mean, it was if you're a pilot for example, in a Hurricane or a Spitfire or maybe a P-40 Warhawk or something, and you're flying on a mission, and then these things show up and you don't know what they are, and you can't touch them, you can't line up to shoot them, you can't gain an angle of attack to do anything to them. That's going to be scary. And you're flying one of the most advanced airships known to man, and these things just put you to shame. I mean, that's if you're a military pilot in that situation, what do you do? And a lot of these pilots, after World War II, a lot of these pilots who reported UFOs or seeing them were stigmatized, and they lost flight status and things like that because of that. So that's one of the reasons I'm going back and taking a look at some of this stuff, because if these people are right, if the Navy has just announced UFOs are real, if these people were right, they have a serious, legal precedent here. So as far as these Foo Fighters were concerned, excuse me, they were invisible to radar. They were much faster than anything we had. They were very much more maneuverable. They could make right angle 90-degree turns to avoid us. Any of them that were fired on, there's no record of any of them ever being hit or shot down. At the time, the main weapons on the fighters were machine guns and cannons and things like that, and very few missiles and rockets. But my point being, we couldn't touch them. So the reason that they called them Foo Fighters is there was a very popular comic strip at the time called Smokey Stover. I have never heard of it before. I've never read it, but apparently one of the things in there was the term Foo Fighter came from that. So I don't know exactly how that works out, but like I said, I've never read the comic strip or anything like that, but apparently that's where it came from. Now, there's something else that needs to be talked about when we talk about these Foo Fighters. During World War II, the Nazis were developing advanced fighter craft. And I want to mention this because I may do a video on that in the future if I can find enough information to do one, because this is very, very sparse information on this. What we do know is the Nazis were working to develop an advanced aircraft called Die Glocke, the Bell. This looked, according to reports, this used some type of an anti-gravity, or maybe some sort of a magnetodynamic drive system. But because we never captured it, we never saw it. All we saw was some faint, very early preliminary blueprints of it. We don't know much about it, and information about it is so scarce. It's almost like it's being hidden on purpose. So I don't know. Now, there have been some UFO researchers who have somehow or other linked this aircraft, the Deglaka, to a UFO that crashed in Kentucky in the 60s, 50s or 60s. Again, I got to do some more research and figure that part out before I report on it. But if that's the case, maybe we did capture it and we're working to develop it, or maybe somebody got away with it and they're trying to fly the thing. I don't know. But the military did spot these Foo Fighters. The military had interaction with them. They took photographs of them, lots and lots of photographs of them. Very compelling stuff, especially on a wartime footing. So, even during World War II, the UFOs was out there. You folks have a good day. God bless one and all.